All right, everyone. We have Kyle back on the podcast today. We are going to do a 7-part series for you on personal resilience. We're going to try and get this all done in one take per episode. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to do video and sound. So if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or Anchor, whatever you use for that, we'll also have the videos up on CrossFit Soar's YouTube page. And you'll see I'll share it online through Soar and my personal accounts. I'm sure Kyle will share it as well, too. So the reason why we have Kyle on, so if you've listened to our podcast, you might have noticed we did a podcast on anxiety during COVID. So Kyle, real quick, just explain your background, just so everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, so a little known fact, I'm a psychotherapist in private practice at MedPsych Associates in Ramsey. And yeah, I am a social worker by vocational title. And I really value personal resilience. And for many of you guys at SOAR, you know me. So hi.
Yep. Yeah. So we wanted to talk about this and do a whole series on personal resilience, just because with the quarantine, with the lockdown, there's there's a lot of people. Just about everyone has had struggle points, right? If you say you didn't have a struggle point, I think you're lying. Everyone is having struggle points right now, myself included. This is a Saturday when we're recording this. The Monday through Friday of this week, I was very unproductive, stressed, all sorts of weird stuff. Part of it was my own doing. Part of it was letting time slip away. And then there was kind of outside forces with my family and everything like that too. But we all have times during this, and it's kind of a huge wake-up call and a magnifying glass on our personality, on our coping mechanisms, what we're scared of, what things we haven't resolved. And I think so many of us are so busy all the time that we don't realize that we're not handling stuff well because we're just moving from thing to thing to thing to thing. And COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to work on something that's really, really important to be successful in life, whether that's successful at work, in your relationships, with your marriage, with your kids, and that's personal resilience. And it's something that's not taught or it's not talked about really, because everything has gone towards make yourself feel good
Yeah.
instead of necessarily making yourself be good, which is a totally different conversation. I know for CrossFit Soar, our mission statement, what we want to do with the gym, our vision, is to help people with low self-esteem, painful self-images by connecting them to a fitness community so they can feel empowered and supported. So more of CrossFit Soar is about how you're doing mentally than physically. So I think it's cool. We're going to be able to do this podcast. We're going to do 7 of them.
Yep.
And the first one, we're going to do physical well-being, right? Is the title
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
Right. So how personal resilience, how physical well-being ties into that. Right.
Yeah, and just to recap, if you didn't watch the first episode that we did, resilience is that ability to bounce back, to endure stressors, to, as Dave said, cope and deal with life as it's hitting us, right? Full force. And physical well-being, I think, is the best place to start. I mean, most of you guys that are listening are from CrossFit Soar and have probably endured much of the same torture. I mean, training under Dave as I have, and yet it has been so psychologically beneficial. And I would say personally, it really fosters this desire to forge ahead and to overcome. And Dave, I wanted really for you to start. How do you see physical activity fostering that strength of being that is personal resilience?
Well, I know. So I'll talk from a CrossFit perspective,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah, yeah.
this is true whether you do bodybuilding, powerlifting, anything like that. So from a personal resilience point of view, part of that is I think you're more resilient when you realize that you're able to overcome things. And I think going to the gym and working out is an opportunity for you to overcome. You first off, you told yourself you're going to work out, so you kept a promise to yourself, which is really important. Don't
Mhm.
not. That's like the whole alarm thing for me too. Is like if your alarm's going off, wake up. Like snooze is you like telling yourself you can't do something already first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, but if you go to the gym and you work out, okay, you kept a promise. All right, working out is hard. No matter what, working out is hard. So you just overcame something is hard. If you consistently work out, you're overcoming your own kind of mental self-talk where it's like, oh man, I'm never going to get a pull-up. Well, you
Mhm.
worked on it. You got a pull-up. You overcame something that you never thought was possible. So mentally, it teaches you how to look at obstacles, if I can talk right now, and to set up steps to kind of overcome them. And I know a lot of times people have a hard time handling life because they're just so focused on the problem, they're not focused on the process to get through it.
Yeah.
So from a mental side, especially CrossFit, because in CrossFit, you have times where you go into that pain cave and your own demons kind of sneak up on you and all your self-doubt, and you overcome that with the help of a community. But it also helps foster a little bit more kind of self-image as who you are, a positive self-image. So for the mental side, that's where I think physical well-being comes into personal resilience.
Totally.
Um, not sure if you want to add to that or anything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can speak from experience as a CrossFitter that, when you commit to that hour, you are committing to you say the pain cave, you say, it's going to test you, it's going to try you. But I think about that satisfaction that comes after the fact
Mhm.
when you've completed that hour workout, when you've given so much effort, and regardless of whether you hit the standard that you had in your mind, or if you just completed the workout in a modified way, which for me that's like all the time, and that's still equally rewarding because
Mhm.
it's a win.
Yeah.
And from a psychological standpoint, when we win, when we accomplish something, it leaves us with that dopamine hit to your brain, that the release of endorphins feels good. It's a calming, comforting, like warm hug feel. And that's so needed and necessary. But what that's actually doing when you look at it from like the psychology that I'm trying to um, explain is that it conditions you. It's a reward. So when we think about what motivates a person, a reward system or a consequence system motivates us.
Mhm.
And when I think of that feeling, that is the reward that I look forward to. And I'm sure for many of you who are listening or watching, that is something that you know all too well. Wow, I committed an hour and I feel so good that I've done that. And in my world, I'm all about the little wins. And I know that this may almost come as an offense. CrossFit is not a little win, it's a big win. But when I think about all of the things that life throws at us, that small amount of time to do this high intensity workout and to burn through an hour is really not a huge sacrifice when you talk about an 8 to 10 hour workday or a 12-hour workday with a commute. So that commitment, that allotment of time and the reward that comes with it, specifically investing in your physical well-being, fosters that like I can do this win, you know, overcoming your day sensation. So I love that.
Yeah, I know there's books and videos where people talk about just standing with a taller posture
Hmm.
and hormonally what happens, and kind of have more. You're so much more confident in yourself just by standing tall.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of kind of like fight or flight. Every time you feel like you've lost a fight, your confidence kind of drops. Every time you feel like you won a fight, you stand taller, you're a little bit more confident.
Hmm.
I know there's all sorts of crazy like biology things with like lobsters where they study them, and when a lobster loses a fight, and how it's the same nervous system principles that we have a little bit. But I think part of doing something that's more challenging, and I'm not knocking on, because going for a 30-minute jog at a slow pace might be challenging for you,
Yeah.
but something that challenges you physically, if you get a little bit of that fight or flight response, you kind of get that at the end, like, I won this battle today. I
Hmm.
think that's something that's missing from people's lives. And I think that's part of the reason why people get angry at random stuff, is because they don't actually have a battle to fight. So they pick,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why the guy's flipping you off driving down the road. It's like, thank you for telling me I'm number one. You're number one too. I'm not fighting against you. It's just, to me, it's someone that actually doesn't have a battle, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So by doing something hard physically, it builds confidence. Back in the day, Greg Glassman always talked about CrossFit. The greatest adaptation happens between the ears. They do all sorts of research on the neuroendocrine response and how you feel with dopamine, everything that gets released. But I think there's something for resilience and just having confidence in your abilities outside the gym that happens when you feel like you won a battle at the
Hmm.
gym, or whether that's running, spin, sparring race stuff, ninja war. It doesn't matter what it is. It builds confidence.
Yeah. And one thing I would add to that is that idea of there's something going on between your ears, right, in your mind when you are entering into this space where you're investing in your physical well-being. I don't know anybody that can just exercise without thinking.
Yeah.
And you may say, but it's really nice because I'm not really thinking about much. But in some ways, that's actually the desired result. When you go into the gym or you go for a run or you engage in some sort of physical exercise, insert whatever Dave just mentioned that fits your lifestyle, here. There's a beautiful process going on in your mind where things are slowing down, things are becoming clear, things are coming into perspective. It's almost got a spiritual element to it. It's
Hmm.
really like a peace, and I love that because there's a whole lot of research that we could spend a long time talking about, where sometimes the only way to get to that next place in our minds or our thinking is we have to pause, we have to stop, and we have to like stop trying so hard and just release that like trying to control it and force it into being.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you guys, but my mind just gets still when I'm working out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the technique and thinking about all the things that I want to accomplish physically or for my personal well-being. Um, but I'm not thinking about a whole lot else. And
Hmm.
maybe that's not everybody, but I think that that's something that you will probably find that there's some process that's going on when you're physically working out in this way that's actually really restorative, really helpful, and something that is going to help your overall growth and really, again, to use the word resilience, your ability to endure. um, and that could be confidence. It might be like the still quietness is this restoring of confidence, knowing that you're working out, knowing that you're pushing your limits. That confidence is going to help you grow in different ways.
Yeah. Well, working out might be one of the only times that you're super self-aware of kind of what you're doing. You're connecting your mind, body, and soul all at one
Totally.
time. You're not being distracted by everything that's around you. I used to say that CrossFit was my meditation. That's why I enjoy doing CrossFit and lifting weights by myself, because I don't even need music.
Hmm.
Which some people are like, "You are insane. You don't even listen." Like, I don't care what the music is. It's not necessarily necessary. Um, at that same note, like the idea of going for a 30-minute jog to me doesn't interest me. But like, if you want, I keep saying like, I have to stop doing that. I'm getting worse with my speech during quarantine. Um, but if you tell me like, hey, we're gonna do 10 by 200-meter sprints with a minute rest and a goal is to keep the same time, now there's a goal to the workout
Hmm.
that is challenging to me, and I can focus on that. And when I hit that goal, I have won that workout, so to speak.
Hmm.
Right. And we joke like, hey, during Fran, like no one beats Fran. The workout Fran, like everyone loses to Fran type of thing.
Yep.
But there is something about having a more performance based workout a little bit that fills that kind of gap that we need.
Hmm. And I should I'm going to redact some of my words, or not redact, but just modify what I'm saying. So for some people, it's the piece that they're looking for, but for other people, I'm just thinking running those 200-meter sprints. Um, there's a lot of self-talk that's going on. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like encouragement of like, Kyle, you got this. You will survive this. You may be miserable. You may be, you know, just failing and falling short of what you hoped, but you got this. Like, I don't know. It's really interesting how different workouts even can foster different things. So on the long, like grinding, 40, 50 minute, like 12 days of Christmas style workouts, like
Yeah.
there's a different thing that's happening compared to the sprints or just that rapid AMRAP push. And I think that all of that is really neat when you think about what that can do psychologically to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dave, one of the other things that I wanted to mention that's it's so interesting when we talk about physical well-being is that for a large part of our physical well-being, we do have control over it. And when we talk about resilience, it's taking action. When we talk about fostering this action oriented approach, the I can do it, I can sustain, it's really important to connect that to what we can control and what we can't. I'm not going to focus on what we can't. That's a whole other thing, like on anxiety management, stress management. But the things that we can control, I think about, our diet, our commitment to exercising, how we treat our bodies, sleep, hygiene. All of these things are actually very intimately connected with our physical well-being and our personal resilience. So I just think about it in the sense that when there's a lot of things in life that feel like they are overwhelming and just a burden that's hard to control, think about the things that you can control. So when you get up in the morning and you're an AM workout junkie, go for it. Like I'm right there with you. Getting a workout in is so good because it's again, it's that win. It's psychologically beneficial. It starts us off in a good place in our minds, and it's really going to help us feel like we can tackle the day, because you
Yep.
sit there and you say, I've already accomplished so much and I'm ready to tackle what's ahead.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that wraps up physical well-being. I think we've hit the nail on the head right there. If you're listening to this or you're watching this and you're like, oh, I just don't have the energy to work out. It's every time I work out, I'm so sore, I'm in pain, quote unquote. Uh, you're the person that probably should start, even if it's just walking. We'll make sure to put links to contact CrossFit Soar. Whether or not you join CrossFit Soar, part of our mission is to help people, again, overcome low self-esteem, painful self-image, things like that. So even if all we do is talk on the phone and you start moving, that's a win in our book. That's a win for us. It's a win for you. But we're going to keep doing, even after we open up from quarantine, no matter where you're at, we're going to start doing workouts virtually, and have on-demand workouts for everyone so they can plug in and kind of be part of something different. So thank you, Kyle. That is part one, physical well-being as part of personal resilience. We'll make sure to link everything down below, as well as where Kyle works, because they also put up YouTube videos on all things mental health related. And it's pretty cool to be able to help people even at a time when we're not supposed to be interacting in person quite as much. But a lot of people are isolating themselves. We want to make sure that we're still putting ourselves out there, helping our neighbors, and doing the right thing. All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Yep, you got it.